Of the four main modes of transportation here on the planet, planes, trains, automobile, and boat, I've taken many road trips and a lot of plane trips. But here in the year 2025, I've decided to scratch another one off the list by traveling what was once the dominant mode of transportation here in the country and is now a joke among Europeans. A ride to San Francisco on the California Zephyr. Now, while all roads lead to Rome, all railroads lead to Chicago, which is where this line originates. Now, being from Colorado, obviously I got on at Denver. And between Denver and San Francisco, the ride is roughly 30-ish hours. There's a variety of accommodations ranging from coach to full rooms, and for this trip I chose the cheapest of the first class options, the roomette. And one-way ticket on the roomette cost about $800, so consider it equivalent to a first class one-way ticket on an airline. For the return trip, I booked a coach class ticket, which was about $180, but for reasons I'll get into later, I didn't have to sit there. The roomette consists of two seats facing each other which fold down into a bed, and another bed that folds down for sleepy time, which is to say it accommodates two people. The train attendant can convert it for you, or if you're somebody like me, it's easy enough to set up on your own. The interior is a little bit dated, but as far as I'm concerned, that's just part of the charm. Now naturally, the first thing I asked the attendant when I got on the train was what the Wi-Fi password was. The good news is, there is no Wi-Fi password. The bad news is, there is no Wi-Fi. So I hope you have an unlimited data plan or a book. That said, on the California Zephyr you'll be traveling through some of the most beautiful parts of the country, and really neither are necessary. Boarding at Union Station in Denver was around 8 o'clock, which meant I was just in time for breakfast, as meals are included in the roomette and above options. It was in the dining car I encountered something I didn't expect. You don't get to choose where to sit. The attendants of the dining car will tell you where to sit, and you will be sharing a table with somebody. Now, as somebody who is a massive introvert, I don't really go out of my way to talk to people, but if you're forced to share a meal with somebody, you are going to be forced to talk to them, and that's something I actually think is pretty cool. And I had very pleasant conversations with people from within the country and without. This is also where I learned there are two types of Amtrak riders. Those like me, who have never done it before, and those people who do it all the time. As far as ridership demographics go, they definitely skew on the older side, but there is another demographic that I didn't think about and wouldn't have thought about until I saw them, but it makes perfect sense. I have never seen a Mennonite at the airport. Turns out, they're all riding the train. There weren't a ton of them, but there was a family or two getting on and off pretty much all the way to California. Something else I found interesting, and from the regulars I learned this depended on who was driving the train, but they'll announce little bits of trivia about where the train's driving through and things it goes by. For example, going through Granby, they made a point to talk about the Killdozer.
Store, which is now an Ace hardware store. It was a local hardware store at the time, but it's an Ace now. You'll see that Ace hardware right when we leave Granby. It'll be on your right hand side. He forgot they had a wooden floor in the basement, and that's where everything ended for him. They made a Netflix documentary out of it called Tread, T-R-E-A-D. Really good documentary, really sad. It is now moved over to Prime Video, is what I've been told. But that is what Granby is infamous for.
One of Colorado's greatest memes. Other features include an observation car and a bar/snack car. On that note, if you get a coach ticket, meals are not included, so you'll have to either buy them or get food from the snack car. If you want to buy the meals, they are $30 for breakfast and lunch and $45 for dinner. Now the food is by no means bad, but it's not worth the price charged. For that matter, neither are the prices charged in the bar/snack car. For example, a gin and tonic was $9, not including tip, and I had 3. But pro tip, you can just bring your own. There's no reason you can't do that. And on the way back I brought my own gin, because gin seems appropriate for a train. As previously mentioned, this is a very pretty train ride. For example, the ride through Colorado is very pretty much the whole way from Denver to the border. For me, the highlights include Gore Canyon, Glenwood Canyon, Middle Park, and between Grand Junction and the border. Most of Utah and Nevada were in the dark, so there wasn't a whole lot to see, but in California, going over Donner Pass is absolutely gorgeous. Now, the train doesn't actually arrive in San Francisco proper. It arrives in Emeryville, which is about a half-hour ride away. However, for an extra $5 either attached to your ticket when you bought it or at the station when you get there, you can get a bus ride that'll take you to San Francisco downtown proper. For the ride back, I booked a coach ticket because I didn't want to spend $1,600 on the round trip, but I wound up getting a roomette on the way back anyway. Amtrak operates a bid-up process, and how that works is if you want an upgrade, you can select an amount of money you want to bid, and if it's available and your bid beats other people, you can upgrade for that price. When I booked the coach ticket, I opted for the minimum amount to upgrade to a roomette, and the day before the train left, I was notified that I got it. Now that bid is on top of whatever you booked, so in my example, I booked the coach ticket for $180 and I bid another $200, so just under $400 for the return trip. And knowing what I knew on the way in, that was money well spent. Something else to touch on, the bathrooms are exactly the same as they are on an airline, so nothing special there. But with the roomette, you get something you don't get on an airline, and that's access to a shower. Towels, washcloths, and soap are provided. You press a button for water, that gives you 30 seconds, but you can press that button as many times as you want. And something I found interesting, the water from the shower appears to dump right onto the tracks. So if you're using some exotic arsenic or lead-based shampoo, maybe skip it for the train ride to avoid environmental contamination. Shower access is not included in the coach ticket, but chances are you could probably sneak one in. It's not like there's anybody guarding them. So, would I go on another train trip? Absolutely. That said, options from Denver are limited, and if you live in the Midwest, you'll have a much better option getting where you want to go. For a couple-hour trip, coach would be just fine, but if you're going to do anything that's overnight, I would suggest a roomette or above. Anyway, that's all I have for you on this mode of transportation that built the West, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.